the next presentation. It will be about spatio-temporal structure of local community of the Black Sea bottlenose dolphins. Good afternoon. My name is Anna Butrim, and I'm going to tell you about the expedition which took place in 2019, and we studied bottlenose dolphin in the Kerch strait. This is a subspecies of the common dolphin, and they live in the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Here in the Black Sea, like in other seas, they prefer areas close to the shore, and they also like different bays and straits. Right now, in the northern part of the Black Sea, we observe two groupings, one close to the Caucasus shore and the other close to the Crimea. For example, near the town of Balaklava, that is the southern tip of the Crimea, and near Sudak. Unfortunately, the other areas are not inhabited by these animals. The survey was this survey is quite a recent one. Previously, we didn't have any information about this, and that is why we decided to study the modern situation, what is happening with these bottlenose dolphins here. As for the toothed whales, it is important to photo-identify them, but of course there are certain limitations, the weather conditions, the night time, and so on. And we now use acoustic identification, where we use signals in order to identify the animals. There are three types of whistling, and these are signature whistles. They are specific for each specific animal, and the calves learn this during their first year of life. And using acoustic identification, we will be able to study this species. This is a new methodology. For the first time, it was used in 2018 in the area near Balaklava and Sudak. And I know that there is a recent publication by an Australian colleague. We have identified two spots. They are equally distant. So they are at a distance of 12 kilometers from the bridge of Kerch. So this survey was carried out in summer and May. First, we visually registered all of the animals, and we identified pairs, a female and a calf, and also we used acoustic registration, and we used a hydrophonic equipment approximately at a distance of 100 meters. And we registered 146 animals or sightings. And the distribution of these animals at sea, we see that usually we observed from 1 to 5 animals, but on one day it was over 30. So the statistical distribution is quite the same in both study areas. The number of calves was about 10% in both groups, and the total number of animals is 2 or 3 times lower than near Sudak or Balaklava along the southern shore of the Crimea. And this is the distribution of animals, and we see that the distance up to 1 kilometer was most popular. During the whole period of study, we identify different types of behavior. It is hunting, it is a complacent state of behavior, and we see that in the southern area, animals mainly were swimming calmly. Now let's have a look at the results of a photo identification. 10 animals were identified, and the bottom, the ones that are in red frame, so it is possible to identify them from both sides. And we see that there are minimal damage signs on this fin, so it means that the animals are not very aggressive here. Then, out of 150 hours of acoustic recordings, we identified 16 signature whistles, and we just used the analogy for naming them. And these are major characteristics, and we see their numbers and where exactly they were registered. Every signature whistle is specific for one specific animal, and we tried to analyze the social network. The red dots indicate animals with a bigger social network, and we see that this network is quite complex and their social relations are quite strong. At the same time, we see that there are animals that are observed in the same area for a long time. So these are signature whistles. The names of these whistles are on the left, and we can see where these animals or these whistles were identified. And very often, these are pairs of a female dolphin and a calf, and sometimes we saw 3 male dolphins staying together. And now some conclusions. We have identified that there's at least 16 dolphins, and they form a localized grouping with well-established social links. Then the activity of dolphins here is very high. That's it. I've finished. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much for this most interesting presentation. We have received lots of questions in chat. I would like to ask whether our next speaker, Irina, is here. So is she here? Because the organizers cannot find her. If you are here, please let us know. Irina Lagominova. Hello? As far as I know, she's not going to join us. Oh, it means that there won't be a presentation of hers. Probably not. Okay. Then we have quite a time for questions and answers. Very good. Okay, the first question is from Anastasia Olados. I study these species near Turkey. So what about this catalog? Is it available anywhere? And are there any publications about using catalogs for studying these animals? Thank you very much for this question. There is a photo catalog, but it hasn't been published yet. Alexander Agafonov is my tutor at university, and we have a catalog of acoustic signals. As for photo catalog, Yelena Gladilina is responsible for this, and she's been doing it for a long time, and they've been studying dolphins near Sudak and Balaklava. Thank you. So you have been working with Yelena Gladilina as well? No, I used to work with her only when I began my studies. I'm just aware of her activities. Thank you very much. There's hydrophonic recordings. So what about the period of recording? When were you doing it? The recording was on only when there was a signal. So there was an operator constantly observing. Okay, so this equipment was onshore, and as soon there was some signal, immediately the recording was activated. And we were doing it 24 hours per day. All right, so there was a cable, yeah, to this hydrophonic equipment, yes, and you were monitoring the signals, and the equipment was activated whenever there was a signal. Yes, absolutely right. Okay, the next question from Timofey Barabashin. Is there any difference between acoustic signals of adult and juvenile animals? Thank you for this question. Well, the difference is only when this signature whistle is being formed. This hasn't been studied well yet. So during the first year of their life, animals are learning this, and out of those signature whistles they hear around them, they form the signature whistle of their own. So maybe there are some like sections of the whistles around them. This hasn't been studied yet. Have you tried to compare? Okay, so for example, these are females with calves. Okay, so their whistles and whistles of adult animals. You know, we cannot distinguish. We cannot distinguish. Okay, visually, yeah, we can say that this is a juvenile animal. Okay, older than 1 year old. Yeah, and their whistles are similar to whistles of adult animals. What about younger calves? There was an interesting moment when we distinguished these signature whistles. So one of them, okay, so was the full signature, but this little calf, okay, so we're whistling like parts of it, yes, and later we put it all together. So like this young animal was producing elements of the signature whistle. Okay, another question from Timothy Barabashin. So what about this hydroacoustic signals? How exact is this information, and how can you identify these groups of dolphins? Well, actually, the distance can be quite longer. Yes, and the distance was up to 4 kilometers. So when the weather was fine, it was possible using this equipment to identify animals at a distance of 4 kilometers. And of course, in bad weather, it is not possible, especially if all the researchers are on the shore. Another question. You spoke about certain restrictions of photo identification, weather, nighttime. Okay, can you comment on different implications for future studies? Thank you for this question. I do not quite understand clearly. Well, okay, you said that photo ID, okay, is impossible at nighttime. Yeah, because it is impossible to take photographs then when the weather is bad, and in winter it is not very functional. Can you do absolutely everything with this acoustic systems? Yeah, is it possible to overcome all these photo ID limitations? Well, there are certain restrictions as well. For example, when there's a mild, not a stormy sea, but still some waves, yeah, we can miss dolphins if we take photos of them, but we can use hydroacoustic. Okay, and you worked in spring and summer, so okay, the weather was fine. Yes, thank you. And now there's a question about one field day. How long during one day were you observing? From 6 in the evening, from 6 in the morning till 7 or 8 p.m. We had a group of 3-4 people, and we took shifts. Right, it was from Anastasia. Right, now next from Olga Shpak. Next question. No, she said that it's fine. Okay, again, Timofey Barabashin. What about harbor purposes? Did you observe any signals from them? You know, it is in a different frequency range. Okay, so there are different characteristics of the signal. So whistles are not used for communication by porpoises. So for them, it is like clicks. Yeah, so and they use these clicks and intervals between them for this. Thank you very much. Okay, and it was impossible to use your equipment, acoustic equipment for registering this. Yes, okay, thank you. Sorry, was there a question? What about time? Well, the next speaker is not here, and now there's 15 minutes. Now we have 15 minutes till the next presentation, and it will be Roman Klepikovsky. So we can continue with questions to Anna, or maybe if there are some additional questions, we can discuss them as well. Right, while everybody is thinking, I can ask the following. Did you try to compare the photographs and the signature whistles? Because, yeah, it might be interesting. I am aware that it is very difficult, okay, because you were taking photographs from the shore, but maybe there were some attempts. Yes, we tried, but those 10 animals that were identified, they, they are from both study areas and from the whole period. Okay, and in the northern part, we managed to identify only 3 animals. Then in July, there were 4 animals, and then 3 more. It's hard or impossible to link one specific animal or photograph to the signature whistle, because we see groups of animals at any single point in time. So it's hard to say which one produces it. Yeah, and whistling is used for communication. So when they are on their own, they don't whistle at all. All right. Yeah, but if there's a lot of observations, and if you regularly see the same group, yeah, of 4 or 5, yeah, you said that the average number was from 1 to 5. Yeah, so you can try to keep comparing them, and then after lots of recordings and lots of photographs, then I believe it is possible to match the signature whistle and the photograph. Okay, and one more question. Your concept is that one signature whistle matches one animal, but your tutor, Agafonov, he demonstrated that one dolphin can produce a number of different whistles. Did you consider this? Yes, we did. Yeah, but there's a notion of mimicry. Yeah, so when one animal is mimicking the others. And our acoustic registration shows that, yeah, there are similar whistles, yeah, but they are quite rare. So when, for example, a whistle is finished, and then there's like an echo, which is slightly different, so it's obvious that it is a different animal producing this whistle. But there's a very small share of such whistles. Yeah, it would be very interesting to match, photo IDs and these whistles, because if dolphins regularly mimic these signature whistles, yeah, this is really interesting. And let's imagine, okay, so there's a group of dolphins, 2, 3, 4. You haven't identified them yet. Okay, but what about these signature whistles? Was there any correlation between the number of whistles and the dolphins? Yeah, up to 70%. Yeah, it was observed. Yeah, so it is there's a well correlated data. Okay, what about other areas in the Black Sea? I know that there were attempts to record that. We haven't compared that yet, because as for the Sudak area, these results haven't been, put together yet. I know that there's a colleague and she's working on her PhD thesis. Right, are there any more questions to Anna or any other speakers?